So next time I want to book a vacation, I can send an AI agent to go research the destination, compare flight prices, check out hotel reviews, and then do all the bookings for me.
I got to make all these doctor appointments, and I hate having to call and be on hold. I would love to tell an agent, go make me a doctor appointment at my liver doctor, at my gastro, look at my calendar, and just put it on there on a day that it works. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Fraud Boxer. We have something today that is a treat that I think is awesome. I think it is probably one of the most important things that's happened, well, since the AI boom. But I think it's really going to take the AI boom. We all love our LLMs. We all use our LLMs. But there's a new thing coming, and you've all heard it. I've posted about it. Everybody's posting about it. We talked about it on my last episode as it's coming in the future. Well, the future is already here. So we're talking about Agentic AI, and I have DataDome back to tell me all about it. So how are you doing? Tell us who you are, tell us what you do, and tell us a little bit about DataDome, if you could.
Sure. Thank you for having us again, Jordan. My name is Aurelie Guerrieri. I'm Chief Marketing and Analysis Officer at DataDome, and we are the leading cyber fraud protection platform. And so as such, we see all of the traffic that is hitting our customers, who are all very big digital businesses. And the fabric of the internet is changing.
It is. Now, you and I just happened to be literally on a committee call a few weeks back when Google broke their big news about what they're doing with Agentic. And anytime a company like Google does it, the same thing with passkeys, when they release something to the general public, that's when people really freak out and when it starts to hit mainstream. And I feel like that day, the whole world changed right in that moment. But for you guys had already been seeing this Agentic AI. So could you start by basically telling me what Agentic AI is so everybody can learn just like I need to learn?
Yes, you're completely right? And it started with you and I using NLMs to make searches, and that's already well ingrained behavior. As you've seen, now you and I can start using agents to do things on our behalf. So not just research, but just send programs out to do the things that we don't want to do ourselves. So next time I want to book a vacation, I can send an AI agent to go research the destination, compare flight prices, check out hotel reviews, and then do all the bookings for me. So it's literally research, multi-step, multi-websites, as well as transaction. So you can imagine that very, very quickly, we will each have an army of agents at our service to do all these things that we were, doing ourselves. And these AI agents can act on our behalf. They'll be empowered to log in on our behalf. They'll be empowered to buy on our behalf. They'll for sure compare products and prices without us ever hitting our retailers' websites and mobile apps.
So let's take a second here for that, because where my mind immediately goes to this is concert tickets is a great example. Is I normally would have to say, I want to go see this band. And then I got to load up, my old employer, Ticketmaster, go wait in line, wait in the queue, hope for my chance to buy them, and then pick my section and go through the process and all that. So what I'm picturing this is basically, I guess we could, probably most people would think of it as like Siri or even Alexa or Google, that I tell it to go do that. And it just buys the seats that I like, right? Like the section that I like for the types of bands I like at the price that I like, right? Is that, am I thinking of it in the right context?
You are, but then go one step further. So you're sending your agent to stand in line for you. I'm sending my agent to stand in line for me. Who's going first?
So that was where I was going to go next. Are we just going to have even more bots than we had and ever before trying to get movie tickets?
Yes,
or
you will.
tickets?
You will, because bad actors are going to continue to use bots. They're going to mimic your agent or my agent. So the whole way that we are assessing online identity needs to completely change, right? It's not about who's a bot and who's not a bot anymore. It's about the intent of that bot, because your bot and my bot going to get a ticket are going to be good ones, but they're still going to be bad ones.
So that's, and we're going to get to that, especially. And I think that, like, we'll talk about me because I still work at an e-commerce website. And I will tell you later where my mind goes from a business perspective, not just from a personal use perspective with that. But for now, like, this isn't something new to you guys. You guys have been seeing this type of stuff, right? Like these behaviors, really, right?
So we are seeing a massive volume of NMM crawler requests. Just in the last 30 days, we're seeing 200 million requests to our customers' websites. So what is that behavior? Well, that behavior is very simply what the LLMs are calling grounding themselves. So LLMs come and get information from your website, and then they answer the user's queries. And when they answer the user's queries, like very often they go and check if that's still accurate or if they got it right. And so this is a lot of real-time calling, a lot of hitting your website. And if you don't have adequate protection, you probably have seen there's a lot of websites that have essentially been brought down by this kind of activity. Wikipedia was pretty public about it. This was an issue for them. So today, this is showing in the numbers. The other thing that is showing in the numbers is that we are not using Google search anymore the way we used to as a conduit to finding a website and going to that website and researching on the website. Already, we're using the AI overview, AI mode. It's kind of the beginning steps of that AI agentic work, right? And so already we're skipping a lot of the normal user behaviors, and many websites are seeing extreme drops in traffic. Like we're talking 30 to 80% less traffic than you used to see before.
And that's real. That's real. When, in that context, in that term right there, traffic, you're saying like eyeballs on the site.
Eyeballs on the site. And so you're completely right, because having less eyeballs on the site, what does this mean?
Like, it sucks for me as an e-commerce person.
Yes.
I feel like I'm not getting the visibility I really want. I want people on my site.
You do. You've been building a whole marketing engine to get those eyeballs on your site, right? And that's going out the window because those eyeballs are not coming to your site anymore. And maybe they're seeing your products and your brand somewhere else, but you've lost complete visibility. This is becoming a dark funnel for you. And then the other thing that's happening is those eyeballs, like they're going to your site, but you've optimized your site for them. You've optimized to show good content. You've also optimized for checkout, product add-ons. And all of that is going out of the window. If we go back to my travel booking example, once my travel AI agent is going to decide on which plane ticket they're going to buy for me, they're not going to buy the seat upgrade. They're not going to buy the insurance.
Yes.
If I don't specifically ask it to, it won't just impulse purchase. It doesn't have any emotion. It's going to execute the task. So your business model is completely upheaval.
And that's exactly where my mind went, because like I work at an e-commerce website, and right now we don't rely as much at our site for upsells as other sites that I've worked in the past. Ticketmaster is a great example. You always want to upsell the ticket insurance. You want to protect your purchase. People have a hard time when they can't make a show. It gets a lot of money and they want to get that money back. So that's always an upsell. Additionally, at the other health and wellness company I worked at, Golden Hippo, before this, that was our whole model, was we get people into a checkout funnel and we upsell them adjacent products and subscriptions to products that they already have. Those things are where we make our margins. At my company now, during the checkout process, it's displaying adjacent products that you might be interested in. You have that vitamin D. Have you thought about a probiotic? Like these are things that we rely on to increase cart size is usually how we like to think of it in e-commerce, is increasing the cart size of all of our checkouts. And now for a consumer, I can see how it would be good to just buy exactly what it's told to buy. But I am guilty often myself of impulse buying and doing, like just the other day, I was booking boarding for my little doggy, and it was only $10 more to get him a suite versus a regular cell. So guess who got the extra $10 a night out of me? That's great for them. It's great for him. But I go all the way back to like even how I buy cars. I use a broker service to buy a car for that exact reason, as I don't try and sell the tinted, the Scotch Guard, all that. They buy exactly the car that I want, exactly the options I want with none of the fluff. But dealers aren't usually excited. That's why they have to have a certain network on that. So I guess it's like a digital version of that. So what do we do? Like, what are we going to do? We're going to have to change everything. We really are.
We really are. We really are. And it's interesting because you give two examples of where, as a consumer, first example, you were seeing some value add in being, provided the upsell because you didn't know it existed and you're looking at it as great value. You're happy with your impulse purchase, right?
Yes.
So how do we make that discoverable to an AI agent? On the other hand, AI agents are also supposed to make my life easier as a consumer and not get in my way and facilitate an easy and fast transaction. So maybe there will be less shopping cart abandonment because I'm going to get to where I need faster. But
I could see that.
Yeah, essentially as a website, and I'll add one more scenario to what you were talking about because we're, not really addressing what happens before the purchase. So if you're going to Ticketmaster to buy, a concert ticket, and then you browse around and you see some of the artists that are playing, you kind of thinking about it. You're like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know they were playing.
100%.
I might, check them out later on. Well, that information is just lost now, and you cannot remarket and retarget this user anymore. That's an AI agent.
I never even thought about that. Like, how am I going to find out about things happening that I even want to go to if I'm not actively looking, if I'm just letting an agent do all the thing? Like, is it going to have to like spoon feed me through like audio interface? Like, hey, Brand New's going to be playing at the Shrine tomorrow, or, Thrice is playing at the House of Blues. Sorry, Thrice posters back there. But like, how am I going to find that out now if I'm not physically interacting with these websites and these apps and these things?
And can you trust the information you're getting? So that's another thing that we should talk about. But just back to your point around monetization. Yes, the entire business model of many, many digital companies needs to change, and it will involve figuring out how to interact with AI agents. So we are in a world where we have optimized websites and mobile apps for a user experience. And we all heard about user experience and how in the fraud space, we need to make sure that user experience is as fluid as possible. Now we will want to interact with AI agents. Those AI agents, they're not following a normal user flow. They're just directly going to where they want to, and they're hitting your APIs rather than hitting your website typically. And they're hitting your APIs in a way that is really strange. Like, it looks like suspicious behavior, right? Because if you're asking your AI agent to find you the cheapest concert tickets, it will go and check every single hour, right? And it's not caching the information. It is not reusing any of that. So it looks very suspicious to the merchant at this point. It doesn't look like proper behavior. So it's really like, how do I assess what's fraudulent intent, what is real intent? And also, how do I optimize for this? And we're in the world where we have optimized for human visits. Now we're going to need to optimize for an API first world, like, possibly an MCP first world. So how do I expose that logic to the agent directly? And then how do I monetize this, right?
There has to be ways that you can prompt digitally, like, hey, does your, whatever the agent calls its master, I guess, we can't say that anymore. Like, is there a way to say, like, if he wants a first class upgrade, if it's less than $150, like, put these like basically like checks along the way that like is kind of a yes, no, I guess. I don't know. I'm not going to try and sell this today because this is still so new to me. I just think, like, for me, like, it's the same thing that happened with self-driving on the Teslas and stuff. Like, one of my coworkers bought one, and we went to a Laker game in downtown LA, and it's far from my house. And it was like 5:00 at night. It was going to suck. And he's like, I got full self-driving, let's go. And I was nervous as hell. Didn't want to let it like lose control because I wanted to be in control, and it was awesome. It worked out perfect. So now, like, every time he comes over, I'm like, let's use the full self-driving to go to the store or even the restaurant. And the same thing is like for like, there's like another tweet that's like, I can't believe people buying plane tickets and booking vacations on their phone. That's like computer activity. And for me, I always put my plane tickets on my computer. I look at it on my phone, and then I bring it up on the computer because, like, I do my seat selection easier. I can feel like everything's easier. I know the first time I have an agent go and book it for me, I'll be like, why haven't I done this forever? But for now, like, in my mind, it just keeps going to this, like, what happens when I don't have control? I mean, even buying clothes, am I going to put my measurements in? So when it goes out and I say, buy me 4 black shirts, t-shirts, that are tall, it knows exactly what, like, my chest is and all that, because that changes, I don't know. It's just, my mind is just going 100 miles an hour right now. thinking about all these different things.
I lived through the mobile app, creation. And it was very, very similar. At the beginning, apps were not that great. And so as a user, you went back to the web. I used to work for a job search website. And their traffic was going mobile because people were looking for other jobs while they were working, right? So looking on their mobile phone. But the application process was 25 pages, and there was no way you were able to enter all of that on a small screen. So that was a really big disconnect between what the user needed and what the business needed. And that got fixed with much better apps. I mean, I buy all of my plane tickets on my mobile app, but that's because it's a well-done mobile app and I can choose my tickets, my seats, and it's all, well optimized for me. So I think we're going to have a learning phase. That's for sure. But there also are going to be completely new scenarios that, were not possible to you before that you're going to be able to do as a consumer. And suddenly you're going to think, that's so great. It's like this self-driving example that you're giving. You would not have hit traffic at 5:00 before.
That's true.
You're like, this is a doomed, proposition. But today you're like, okay, and maybe not officially in a self-driving car, but maybe in a Waymo, for example, where you are okay to do something else. You would be not losing that time. It's an hour you can spend catching up on email rather than driving. So I think that's creating a whole new set of scenarios for consumers. There's a lot of tasks where we don't add a ton of value as users. And if you can get an agent to do that for you, then you regain that time and you regain that control. And so I think that's whoever is going to win is going to figure this out. And to your point around trust, I think this is something that you're going to see a lot. Obviously, you're the fraud expert. And so payment trust is a big deal, right? Because you're letting an agent use your credentials and pay on.
I get no device, no nothing anymore on it.
And so that's why we're seeing more and more of the payment providers partner with big agent platforms.
That's smart.
They want to build the trust in.
If I could see, for me, I want to do one more example before we move on, because I want to talk about some of the bad stuff that these agents can do. But for me, from a fraud perspective, I would love to see the agents basically being vetted. So how we do passkeys for authentication. So we know when we see an agent that agent's and it has a key or a token of some kind that's been vetted by the end user that basically shifts the liability for me. They can't make any claims. So I hope that's where we're going with that, because I would love it to be like that. And then I just let all the approved agents through.
Yeah.
But for me, one last thing that my mind just happened to right now is I got to make all these doctor appointments and I hate having to call and be on hold. I would love to tell an agent, go make me a doctor appointment at my liver doctor, at my gastro, look at my calendar and just put it on there on a day that it works. And then just be done, and then go make my blood work appointment after that.
Yes.
That is what. Those are the types of things that I don't want to do anymore. I would love to have an digital executive assistant to do that for me.
Yes, and even back to your concert discovery example, today you probably get an email summary of you like this kind of bands, and here's whoever is playing. Could you get something smarter? Could you get the agent to listen to some music samples for you, match it to what's in your Spotify playlist, and see that does match or that doesn't match? And so I'm going to extract something a little bit more intelligent than just the regular, marketing newsletter. So I think already with whatever information is out there, you can create agents that have value for you. We're seeing a lot of agentic use cases in B2B. Because this is where we are really able to break down processes. What's an AI agent? At the end of the day, it's basically, a logical process being broken down in steps that you can outsource to some intelligent, program. And so in B2B, we're seeing a lot of it. Actually, I think Gartner predicts that about 30% of B2B software is going to include agentic AI in the next 3 years. So it's, a massive, massive shift. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, because we know we're all going to get used to AI agents at work. And so therefore we're going to be a lot more comfortable with
So
them.
What can you just give me, just for the people, a quick idea of how a B2B one would work? Because my mind goes to auditing invoices or something like that. But that's pretty easy to do with regular just data science there.
So a lot of agentic around customer service customer service. It's, when you are pulling out all the information on a customer account, whether you're reviewing a fraud case or whether you're just helping with a transaction, there's usually information in a lot of different places. There's tickets, there's account information, there's verification, and there's a pretty well-defined playbook that you're following. So that is very, very helpful. And that, again, frees up human time to deal with the more complex scenarios. There's a lot of agentic AI, whether you like it or not, in sales prospecting. So
that's where my mind was going.
Yeah,
like
AI
suppliers,
PDRs, which I personally think are overwhelming a lot of prospects with not such high quality outreach. But
I get that before every conference. I get about 1,000 of those, usually with the wrong name. But
that's bad agent, yes.
Yeah, I let them know when they're that egregious. I let them know that they got to fix whatever they're using.
So one of the use cases I heard recently, which was both fantastic and also completely freakish, is there's this customer service company that builds agents that are customized to really give very friendly, very relatable service. And so what they've done is they've given them local accents. So you'd have a regional accent from the Midwest or whatnot. And these agents,
Fargo, you betcha.
These agents have all the time in the world to explain to grandma why, she's having trouble logging to her bank account. And so they're not rushed. They're not trying to hit, specific KPIs. They're just very, very friendly and completely undetectable. That is both, amazing that grandma can now get really good customer service, but also really scary as a fraud professional.
Hey everybody, I want to take a minute to jump in here and talk about this week's sponsor, Disputed. As a merchant myself, I'm always on the lookout for someone that understands my exact pain when it comes to disputes. Disputes are hard, disputes are tricky, and you got to know what to do. Well, with Disputed, they're former merchants themselves, so they actually know what to do. They analyze the root cause of each chargeback, they evaluate whether or not to actually fight it, and if they do, what the win probability is going to be. They create optimized responses finely tuned to each and every case, and they also continuously learn from their responses through feedback loops in real time. Disputed was built with enterprise in mind from day one and built to scale. So if you want to learn about a more intelligent way to fight disputes, please reach out to them at www.disputed.ai and thank them for their sponsorship here today. Now let's get back to the episode. So there's a lot in there. I can always think of it like suppliers. Like if I needed to be aluminum is a great example of current events. Go find me the best deal on aluminum so I could cast my parts, and it goes out and checks with all the aluminum distributors in the US and gives me a price. So let's talk about, because anytime there's something good, someone does something bad with it.
Yeah.
So what are people doing that's bad with this stuff already? And where do you think they're going to go outside of just trying to make fraudulent purchases?
So it's interesting because the first thing that the sites are feeling, websites are feeling, right, is the loss of traffic. And so you're losing signals associated with that traffic. And the AI agents, obviously, they don't behave like human beings, and they look a lot like, bad actors. They can look like a scraper, right? For an LLM. They can also look like they're trying to abuse your API because, as I mentioned earlier, they're just hitting it, right? So, going back to your concert ticket example, let's say you're trying to sell very, very popular tickets, right? You could, in the mix, have, your and my AI agents that you and I are using to stand in line for us, and they're very legit use cases for very legit customers. Mm-hmm. You could have scalpers that are using agents as well, because these agents are going to continue to be extra fast and get inventory before everyone else, and they'll be able to resell those tickets. But you could also have proper shopping AI agents that are getting misused, right? They can be spoofed or they can be mimicked by malicious actors.
I also see scalping, like right now I'm trying to get this Switch 2. I could just fire up a bunch of these agents, could I, and just say, go grab all the inventory you could possibly find. And then so I could resell it. And then Absolutely. Jordan doesn't get his Switch 2.
Yeah. All kinds of friendly fraud. Even as a consumer, you can get an agent to create 10 different email addresses for you to get the first-time customer discount. There's going to be a lot of creative use cases. But I think the other thing that's going to happen first is a lot of companies are still using very simple fraud prevention methods, even like, assessing what's human and what's bot, using a CAPTCHA, like a Turing test. Like this is like, CAPTCHAs have been dead for a long time, but it's almost like comically bad to think that you're going to stop a bot with a CAPTCHA. And that, you might even, that you might use that against an AI agent. So this is going to be really interesting. And I think we're going to see a lot of misuse of agents, people, creating little programs very easily to commit fraud, but also a lot of poisoning or spoofing of known agents. And we are seeing, I don't know if you've observed this, but we've seen that 30% of what was declaring itself as traffic as a Google bot has nothing to do with Google, right? So
just people hiding their own crawler, calling it themselves a Google bot.
It's kind of an easy one, right? So you can think about like a popular shopping AI agent, and you could just hide your name behind it. But it's compounded by the fact that today LLMs are really not very good at declaring themselves. They don't respect robots' text. So it's incredibly hard today to know which AI agents and LLMs are hitting your site. So what we have had to do is we have had to fingerprint every single agent that we're seeing. And we created this database that we are making available to our customers, but also anyone where it's on our website.
Oh, anyone?
Yeah.
Like anyone?
Yeah, anyone. You can go to our website and you just have a database of all AI agents and LLMs.
Is that live right now?
It's live right now.
All right, everybody, I'll put a QR code to that up right now. Yeah. So that'll be on the screen for anybody that wants to go use that.
Yeah, because we needed it. So we had to build it. It's not out there anywhere.
So that's super interesting. Like I said, everybody use that QR code, go see what's going on. I mean, they're giving it away, so you might as well take advantage of that. One of the things that you had told during the prep for this too, that I thought was super interesting was like inventory lockup scenarios where somebody might use an agent to, like I believe in yours, use a competing airline might use their agent against another airline to try and look like it's sold out or routes are sold out or something like that. Can you just give some more fun examples of that, like how that might happen? Because I love examples. I'm a sucker for an example.
Yes. And I think that's how, honestly, that's how it makes the danger real for me as well. We had this question come up at a cybersecurity conference recently. One airline came to us and say, what if, a travel AI agent is influenced by my competitor and they make it look like I don't have any seat available or my seats are much more expensive than they are. Not only do I lose the sale today, but it's really bad for my brand. And I think those are real scenarios. I think another scenario that I think about is fake goods. We, like, as human beings, you're very good at knowing that if you go to louisvuitton.com, there should be 2 T's. Does the AI agent know that? If you send it to buy you the cheapest Louis Vuitton bag it can find, will it get you a fake? Ooh. Right? So there's a lot of actual risk for the consumer. Very real spoofing risk. So I talked a little bit earlier how we would have new ways to communicate with agents. So we'll use APIs, we'll use MCP servers. What if your MCP server is being spoofed somewhere else, right? So what brands are already looking for brand spoofing websites, right? Now they're going to have to look for MCP spoofing. So I think whole new set of ways that the agent can be manipulated, or the agent can maybe make a mistake. So what if an AI agent, my AI agent, gets blocked from purchasing for whatever reason because your fraud system triggers us as a false positive? Is the AI agent going to call you? Like, what is the process for you to identify and deal with this false positive, and how does it fit in your fraud management process?
That's a good point.
Yeah,
because like me, like I know I've been turning off notifications on my phone at like an alarming rate because I have full blown like notification fatigue.
Yes.
Like even I put I have, it's going to sound crazy, everybody bear with me. I have 7 Ring cameras on my house, but that's just the amount that it took to be able to see the whole house in 360 degrees, and then 1 inside for the dog when we're gone. But the amount of notifications that I get even since we've been on this, I don't even look at them, which defeats the whole purpose of having the devices, because I'm supposed to be monitoring what's happening out there, but I just know it's just somebody walking their dog until it isn't, So I could see like how would it notify me? As I don't want to be called. Maybe I want to push notification. Maybe I don't. Maybe I want a text message. Maybe I won't see it. Like, can I give it rules to do something to take an action if I don't see it over X amount of time? I don't know. There's just so many, like, obviously it's going to be one of those things that evolves over time, but evolves quickly, because look how, like, we were all freaked out on LLMs 3 years ago when those came out. And like when ChatGPT dropped, we all lost our minds. We've all just adopted it. Like,
yeah,
I think we all use it. I used it every day. You guys use it on even these notes for this thing. I was there. Like, we use LLMs, and they have taken the mundane and made it bearable, finally. And then I can move on with my life and quicker things. But I think some of the stuff from a fraud piece is I see a lot of opportunity from, like, to your point earlier, where partnerships and vetting. So for me, like, even with existing fraud companies, like even you guys, like, having basically you guys have like a signed thing that says this agent we know is legit because we're partnered with the company that is hosting the agent, and they have to do this vetting process. So we know to let it through. We know that it's good, those sorts of things. Like, that's where it's going to need to go. And maybe there's opportunities for somebody to start even a new company like that, we have tokenization companies, maybe an agent tokenization. I don't know. But so, like, that's where it's going to have to be.
That's interesting, because the way we see the world is that we never take identity for granted. So we will never, even as a human being, we will never say, oh, that's Jordan. We saw Jordan yesterday. Jordan's fine today. We always I
could go broke and want to steal all the stuff the next day.
It could be Jordan at the beginning of session is not Jordan anymore. So we are employing this exact same methodology for Agentic AI. We're not trusting by default agents. We are recognizing who they are, and then we're assessing their behavior. And let me tell you, assessing behavior is hard because they don't look like they behave like anything that is legit, right? We talked about a lot of API calls, a lot of synchronous calls. So they're like, calling like 5 different airline websites at the same time. That looks extremely suspicious on most impossible travel, assessments. So their behavior looks very different and needs to be assessed as such. So we need to create models and have created models to assess intent for AI agents. And as you look at this, then do you know who it is hitting your site? Is the behavior what you expected? Is it proper behavior? And then are they authorized to hit your customer's website? And this is where I think the token works, because if you are a Wall Street Journal subscriber, then maybe you want to be let in because you have a login to it. Or, if you have a token that says, hey, I have credits to consume a few pages of content, then that's fine. Or if you have, a token that says, I can behave, I can maybe not read the New York Times, but maybe I look at the amount of comments on each topic, and I'm going to decide what's trendy and what's not based on this. So you can think about a whole new monetization model.
I like that. Yeah.
That, this is not how you were making money before. Maybe before you were selling ads. Now you're selling more like trends and data. Figure out how to monetize and accept AI agents. And so what I see our role is essentially as running the traffic, right? Assessing, verifying. And then if you want to take that agent, you can block it. You can allow it. You can allow it with conditions, like maybe at a certain time of the day, and you can monetize it. And for monetizing it, you can work with any of our partners, because I think the space is very, very new and developing extremely fast. And it's super exciting. All these kind of new revenue lines that you can think about.
Is there any other ways of monetizing, or how we should think about like these things on how to monetize, or what we should do with agents? Like, what more?
So I think this is time to get creative. AI agents are going to perform normal user activities that you're going to continue to monetize, but what other things can you start monetizing, right? you were talking about that ticket buying experience. If I pay more than you, Jordan, can I get in line first? Can my agent get in line before yours? Or can I have a validated VIP customer AI agent that, gets a fast lane? Can I also sell my content in different ways? If I'm a newspaper, normally I get readers and I get money from ads. Can I get money from content? So if I am, say, a Spotify, can I get money from figuring out the trending artists and selling that to AI agents who are trying to come up with new kinds of music? Or if I am a marketplace, can I let an AI agent crawl which products are flying off the shelves versus which are not, and therefore coming up with new product ideas or even investment ideas for a VC? So I think we're going to see a lot of these new monetization options being created. It's really like, shifting your mindset from blocking bots to figuring out how you can build a business around bots.
Yeah. Okay. So from blocking bots to building a business around bots, there's a lot of B's in there. Well, that's pretty cool right there and all that. So, I mean, we need to talk about you guys a little bit because, you've shared all this information with us about what the future is. The future is wild. A lot of things that could go bad, a lot of things that could go good for consumers. So you guys have your list. What else are you guys doing around agentic right now? You guys are obviously, since you have the list, you're able to parse the traffic out. Are you offering suggestions to your customers? Like, talk a little bit about DataDome and agentic.
Yeah, so we've seen the biggest problem and first problem is visibility. So this is what we have right now. You log into the DataDome dashboard. You can see what is hitting your site, which LLMs, which AI agents, which, by the way, you have lots of visibility into because MarTech tools typically don't give you this. So this is the first time that actually the tech team and the cybersecurity team can bring that information to the business team and say, I can help you figure out where a business model is going. So it's a very interesting conversation.
Yeah. Instead of just being passive, the cyber team could be like, look, I found a new way we can make some money, guys.
Exactly. I could tell you what's going on. Like I could tell you your marketing budget is being effective or not. So that's step number one. Step number two, you can decide what to do with those agents and you can block, you can monetize them. We have partnerships with many monetization companies. You get to choose whoever you want to work with and activate that. And then, step number three, once you have that, you can really start rethinking, okay, what am I going to create as new business models? And the good thing about having a tool like DataDome is that we don't just protect websites, but we also protect your mobile apps. And we also protect your APIs, which is where most of the agents are going to hit you going forward. So as you come up with new ways to interact with AI agents, they're protected as well. This is a really interesting space. I think the way I think about it is, the CDN used to be the edge, right? But now your attack surface is moving even beyond what you can see, and the AI agent itself is the new edge, and it is a new edge.
That is a really fascinating way because I've been telling all of my friends that make just regular fraud tools that they need to start putting their stuff on the CDN level like you guys do so they can see all the traffic, get rid of these unknown sessions. But now basically you have just an army of headless browsers just blasting your website that don't mean to be headless browsers. That's just how they are at the end of the day, making these choices and looking for these things. And I mean, I'm happy to know that, or happy to hear that you guys are doing the API thing because, like you were saying earlier, it's just going to be checking for my ticket prices every hour. It does look like a scraper, at the end of the day. But if it's really someone just trying to find the right seat to get rid of, to go see, Blackpink in July, I'm going to be there, everybody. It's going to be very useful to know that, so you don't start losing sales, get upset customers, and all that. So
yes.
So all of that being said, as we wrap up here, we finish it up. Like I said, everybody, they've compiled that list of essential information on the most prevalent AI and LLMs. The QR code is back on the screen again right now. Everybody else, I will put a link in the description. So if you're listening to this and not watching this, you'll still be able to click on that and go and see that. Any final words?
Yeah, agents are the new edge. So you need to protect your interactions with AI agents, but also think about how AI agents themselves need to be protected.
I think that is such a good call out. Is everybody, AI agents aren't to be feared. They're going to be the future. So make sure you have the right offering and don't just start blocking everything willy-nilly, everybody.
Yes.
So, so if you need help with that, everybody, if you need help parsing out the traffic, you know who to call. My friends right over here at DataDome. And for everybody else, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in any of the comments on any of the platforms. I will do my best to police those and answer those. And if it's for DataDome, I will message them and have them try and answer directly because I can't speak on their behalf.
Jordan, is that going to be your AI agent that's going to be responding to questions?
That is not a bad idea. I actually might need to come up with something like that. But everybody else, thank you so much for listening. Please let me know if you have any questions, and we'll see you all in a couple of weeks. Hey, everybody, thanks for listening to this week's episode. Again, I want to thank Disputed.ai for making it possible. With Disputed, since they're former merchants, they understand my pain every day when I'm fighting chargebacks. Disputed has created the most advanced chargeback management platform for enterprise, backed by extensive expertise and a commitment to that partnership to get you the best possible results. They analyze the root cause of each chargeback, evaluates whether or not to fight, and even the win probability. They create optimized responses, finely tuned for each and every case, and they continuously improve over time using feedback loops. So please take some time out of your day to visit them at www.disputed.ai to learn more about an intelligent way to fight disputes, and thank them for partnering with us today. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.